Hey there, my crafty friends. Just look at the gorgeous texture and those vibrant colors in this Wildflower Wander Shawl. In this video, I will show you how to crochet the stunning Wildflower Wander motif that makes up this shawl. This is a step-by-step tutorial, so grab your hooks and yarn and let's get stitching. You won't want to miss this one. Let's make something beautiful together.
Show me love, show me love. This is all we got. Show me love.
Hello there, friends. I'm marlybird, your by crafty bestie, and I am here to show you how to make this beautiful Wildflower Wander motif. This motif can be made into the shawl, just like the one I'm wearing, or you can use it to make a blanket, a table runner, a baby blanket. Sky is the limit. This particular motif is full of texture. There are so many stitches and techniques that you can use to make this beautiful motif. You can use 2 colors, 3 colors, or more, totally up to you. But as you're watching the video and you are following along with that stitch diagram, I will give you tips on where you need to maintain the same color in particular rows so that you get the full effect of the motif. And of course, I give you a couple of tips and tricks how to improve your crochet along the way. So go ahead, grab your hook, grab your yarn, join me and my best friend, Robyn Chachula, as I show you how to make this beautiful motif. We are coming to you today to teach you a new crochet motif. This motif is used in the Hirschner's Wildflower Wander Shawl, okay? So we're going to learn this square motif. Robyn is holding it up right there as well.
And the whole reason I wanted to hold it up, because like hold up yours, Marley, it just looks very different.
Mm-hmm.
The one used in the shawl, the third color they used was a variegated, and it looks very different than you just using solids.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the motif. The fun thing about this cutie is it has multiple textured stitches. So we have puff stitches, and then there is back post stitches, and we're going to go in the third loop up here. So there's a lot of drama that's going on also. So that's like 1, textured. 2, on, I think this is the 4th round. The 4th round, you're doing color work. So you're using 2 colors at the same time. So you're going to be carrying one yarn behind while you use the other one. So there's a lot going on. Plus the typical, you're going to be starting with a circle and then we're going to transform it into a square, which means it's just in your brain, like before when you're doing it, it's always like, it's a very easy repeat because it repeats. And then once you transform it into the square, that round, you have to like, what am I doing? Where am I doing? That's always the one that gets people because it's like, I now ended up with a pentagon and I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to have a square. It happens to everyone. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this one tiny motif. So the first thing I will say though is if you guys want to do this, think about color. The shawl will do it one way. You can do it however you want. You can see with mine, I'm using 3 colors, but I put the center and the outer as the same color. You don't have to. The only thing I'm going to say is like in terms of color, you have to make sure on your round 4 and your round 5 are the same color. Other than that, sky's the limit. You can make every color different. Just make sure that round 4 and 5 are the same, and whatever color you use here in 3, use it in 4. Otherwise, have fun.
Right. So this square is made using this worsted weight yarn, obviously, but it can be made using any yarn you wish, really. It's a motif square. You could use sock weight yarn and get a completely different look, completely different size, or use a really big bulky yarn and again, completely different look.
Yeah.
As far as the size of the motif, the shawl motif itself, what did they say? Is it 7 inches?
Yeah.
7 by 7 in the shawl. But you guys know you can use any hook that works for you to get the fabric that you want. So if you want your shawl to be exactly like the kit shawl, clearly you're going to use the smaller hook that they use. They use the 5.5 millimeter, and then you'll get the 7x7. But maybe you want yours a little bit more drapey, and you want it to be more cushy, cuddly for like a blanket.
Mhm.
You can go up to a 6 millimeter or even larger if you want. It all depends on what kind of look you're going for.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you just want to make sure that all your squares are the same size. Having said that, in the video description box below this video, we have put a link to a blog post that we have written about the different stitches that are used in this pattern. We have linked to the shawl kit. We have linked to the yarn, and we have provided the stitch diagram that if you click it, you'll be able to download it and print it as long as you join the Grow program. So you'll see you have to be part of Grow in order to view the chart, and then you'll be able to view it, or the stitch diagram. You'll be able to view it and download it and follow along easily. There are no written instructions on the blog post. It is strictly the motif. Okay. If you want written instructions, that's where you're going to find those in this kit. And the pattern is only available in the kit at this time. So you can't just buy the pattern on its own for the Wildflower Wander Shawl. You have to get the kit, which, can I tell you, is completely affordable. It's $32.99 right now. Okay, guys, this right here, this is the Wildflower Wander Motif stitch diagram. Lovely Robyn took the written instructions and she created this stitch motif, or the stitch diagram for the motif. If you've never read a motif or a stitch diagram before, we have extra blog posts and videos that we have done on motif and reading, not motifs, reading stitch diagrams. So you absolutely can go learn more, but we're going to talk about this one today. Just as you would be creating your motif, you will start reading your diagram right here in the middle. Okay, right here in the middle. Now, this solid circle here usually means an adjustable ring, or is that what you have it on here?
Yep. It's an adjustable ring or magic loop or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to do an adjustable ring here. And then you can see that there are chains that come up from the adjustable ring, just like you would normally do, right? Like we do these turning chains or beginning chains, and they allow us to get the height of the stitches that are where we want them to be, right? So we're going to chain 3, and we will read our chart in this direction. Okay, read our chart in this direction. And these symbols here that look like a T with a cross through it, those are double crochets. So we're going to chain 3, which typically is the same height as a double crochet. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 double crochets all into that magic loop. That little dot right there, that's a slip stitch. So we will join with a slip stitch to the 3rd chain of our beginning chain. Hopefully you guys can see how this literally is a visual representation of what would be written in the pattern. Once we have joined that, we would move up to the next round. Now, Robyn has changed the colors here in the chart to signify where you would change colors if you were working with 2 colors, right? So it appears that rounds 2 and 3, you're going to use the same color. But when you get to round 4, just as Robyn talked about, we will be using 2 colors on that round, all right? So as we jump up here to round 2, you look for the number 2, and you'll see there's a chain there. Great. That's the chain that we're going to start with. That's our beginning chain. And we immediately jump into a puff stitch. Now, if you don't know the difference between a puff stitch or a cluster stitch or a popcorn stitch, we actually wrote that out on the blog for you to check out. So if you can look at all of those instructions and kind of see how they differ from one another. But we're going to create a puff stitch, and then we're going to chain 1. And then a puff stitch in the next double crochet, chain 1. Puff stitch in the next double crochet, chain 1. And we'll do that all the way around. We'll finish the chain 1, and we'll join with the slip stitch to our first puff stitch. Then it appears we're going to slip stitch over into this chain 1 space. That's why there's that dot there. And then we're going to chain one, and we're going to do all of those puff stitches again, only this time we'll do it in those chain one spaces, and we'll separate all our puff stitches by chain twos. You guys with me so far? Get back to the beginning. Again, we join with a slip stitch right there at the start. Then we'll come over here and slip stitch so we can get our hook over here into this area. We're still using the same color. We will chain 4. And then this is where we are going to develop our corners. Okay, so in our corners, we will be using this color, which is our contrasting color. So we'll chain 4. These stitches here are treble crochets because they have 2 hash marks. So we'll do 2 treble crochets because this chain 4 counts as 1. And then we chain 2 and 1, 2, 3 more treble crochets. And then we're going to change colors. Now, I'm going to have us change colors in the last 2 draw throughs of the loops when we get to the end of this. And then, Robyn, I'm not sure, did you crochet over this color?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Yep.
So a question that I usually will get is, okay, if I'm going to change colors and I need to use this color again down here, as I'm working these stitches, am I going to crochet over top of that color? Or is it like knitting where I'm just stranding the color behind those stitches? In theory, you could do either one, but why have a strand behind it when we can hide it? We can hide it in all of these, and it's kind of tucked in. It's out of the way. You're not going to snag anything. So that's the way we're going to go. And when we get down here, we'll change colors again, and we'll create our next corner. Okay? Come all the way back around, join with the slip stitch, and then it's just a series of different stitches. We have double crochets, and then we have double crochet. Is this front post or back post? Back post double crochets. Then we have double crochet in the third loop. So it's double crochets, but the placement of each of these is going to be different. Okay. So there's a whole lot going on here, which is why this is considered an intermediate pattern. Now, as I mentioned, the written instructions, if you're looking for written instructions, they are only available in the pattern. This pattern is only available in a kit at this time, and it's the Wildflower Wander Shawl. We have a link to this in the video description box and on the blog post. All right. Whew, that's a whole lot of stuff going on. Okay.
And I think pretty much when you're doing this, if you just take it one step at a time, it's so much easier.
Okay.
So if everything that Marley just said was super confusing, don't worry.
Yeah.
Just follow along as she's crocheting. You'll see it's not as terrible as it
right.
was.
And you can always go back and review what I just said with all of this. You can be, oh, okay, I get it. Like you might not get it the first time, you might not get it the second time, but the third time you'll be like, oh, all right, this is great. Now, I am not going to have this stay on camera as I'm crocheting because it will not be in focus. So make sure you download your own motif stitch diagram so you can follow along. I'm going to pull this off camera. And then I am going to grab 3 solid colors of the Hirschner's Worsted 8 Wildflowers. So I have grabbed here the Bluette, the Wild Begonia. I love that color. And I love this green too. I'm using the green because I just love it. Switchgrass. And I am going to make my main color actually the blue, the Bluette. And I am going to, should I do it in 2 colors? Let's do 2 colors.
Let's do 3 because
okay.
What I found is like when you're doing the square part, making those different colors is nice because it's like a different things we're talking about.
All right. So now I need to focus this camera a little bit so that way we're focused on my hands. So we're going to move these up. Let me get this focused on my hand. Forgive me, guys. It's easier than if I do autofocus. Autofocus would have you coming back and forth. It's no fun.
No.
Okay. One of the fun things about the worsted wildflowers yarn from Hirschner's, on all the worsted weights except the Heathers, they have an easy start, like an easy button, right? It's an easy start. So you just automatically starts pulling from the middle. You know exactly where to start pulling from the middle. I love that. It's fantastic. All right, so we're going to begin with a magic loop or an adjustable ring. I start it just like I do any of my slip knots, except when I pull up my loop here and I just pulled my fingers out, I'm just going to leave this open. I'm not going to pull that tight. Okay, I just leave that open. That is the space where I will put all 15 of those double crochets we talked about. So right here, I will do my chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna get myself some yarn so I'm not fighting with it.
And if you guys have a different way you like doing your magic loop or your adjustable ring, however you want to do it,
Yeah.
as long as you can tighten it, you're good to go. It
Yep.
doesn't matter.
Yep. All right, so I chained 3, and now I'm going to do 15 double crochets. So because this is an intermediate pattern, I'm not going to go super slow with a lot of these stitches, but we will talk about them. But a double crochet, that's a basic stitch you should know how to do. So we're going to do 15 of them. And I'm putting them literally right into this ring. I'm not going to close this up until the end. So 1, 2.
Can you scoot a little bit closer to the yarn?
Like there?
Yeah. Thank you. You were running off the bottom.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, should I be up here or down here?
No, I like where you are.
Okay.
Fine.
What did I do? 3? Okay.
Sorry. You were in the middle of counting.
Nope, that's perfect. 4. That's why I wanted you here. Because I obviously can't watch myself up there as I'm doing this. 5, 6.
So there was a question in the chat about how many skeins you need in total. It really depends on what you're making. So the shawl again it's a kit, so it'll come with whatever yarn it needs. I will say that if you're making a blanket, you'll probably need at least 2 balls of each color. If you want to make a pillow, you only need 1 of each color. It depends on what you want to do with the motif.
13, 14. Is that 14 or 15? I can't remember. Okay, so hold on. So there's my chain 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then 1 more. And 15. Now, it's at this point I would pull this closed. I'm going to pull that up so you can, I just grab my tail and just give it a pull. And you can see right there, it's pulling that closed, and it's going to pull together that center portion. And I can go back and weave that in to really close that up so it doesn't come undone. And now I'm going to join with my slip stitch. Remember, I'm supposed to slip stitch to the 3rd chain that I started with. I'm going to tighten up this last one. It's a little bit too loose. Sorry. I hate it when I make them too loose. All right. So 1, 2, 3. This is the 3rd chain. I'm just going to go right into it and work a slip stitch. Now, I'm going to change colors on this next one. So it's a chain 1, and it should be a new color. So my slip stitch, I actually should do my color change at the slip stitch. So I'm going to put this down for just a second. Should we go to blue? What color should I go to? Blue? Blue works.
Whatever color you want your little flower to be.
Yeah, I'm going to go blue.
Okay.
All right. Gonna go blue. All right, let me pull out some yarn. So I will undo that last one. And the reason I'm doing this is I don't want color bleeds. I want my color change to be pretty seamless. So I'll put my hook in, drop the color I was using, pick up the new color, always leave yourself a nice long tail so that way you can weave it in. Yarn over with the new color, pull through the stitch, pull through the loop on your hook. You now have a color change, okay? We can cut the first color and set it aside. Everybody with me? All right, so this would be round 2. We start round 2 with a chain 1. This does not count as a stitch at all.
No, and I'm going to say right now, if you wanted to have 2 chains, have 2 chains. Like when you guys are doing it, if you feel like a chain 1 was too tight, then do 2. No one will see it. It's going to be hiding behind.
Yep. All right. Now, this chain 3 that we began with, that counts as a stitch. So our very first puff stitch is going to go exactly where we did our join. All right. So for the puff stitch, the way they wrote it in the pattern, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the third chain of the chain 3, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pause. So that's 1.
Yep.
Now we're going to yarn over our hook, go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. That's 2. The way it's written on the shawl is we're going to do that last one we just did. We do that 3 times. We're going to end up with essentially 4 partial half doubles.
Yeah.
So that's 2, yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up. That's 3. Yarn over your hook, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up. That's 4. Yarn over, and then you're going to draw through all of those loops on your hook. Does it tell us to finish with the chain 1? That's what I do. So
No.
that would finish it. That finishes that.
That is your chain 1 space.
So you want this to be the top of my puff. Right?
You're never going to go into it, but yes, that would be the top of your puff. And the next one.
That's where we're supposed to slip stitch.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry.
That's okay. So I'm just going to mark it. So that would be the top of my puff. That's my chain 1. And now I go to the next double crochet and I'm going to do another puff stitch. Now, here's a question, Robyn. Let's say that somebody's working these and they don't like how big these are. If they wanted to change this to 3 partial double or half doubles, could they do that?
Absolutely.
All right. So yarn over, pull up a loop. That's 1. Yarn over our hook, into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. That's 2. Yarn over your hook, into the stitch, yarn over your hook, pull up, that's 3. Yarn over your hook, into the stitch, yarn over your hook, pull up a loop. That's 4. Yarn over, draw through all of them. That completes the puff. So that V right there, that's the top of your puff. Here's our chain 1. And now we go to the next stitch.
So with puff stitches, this is why the whole pattern is more, we would say, intermediate. Because they're not easy to hold on to. You got a lot of loops on your hook. You got 9 loops on your hook when you're at the end, and that's a lot of loops on your hook. It's a lot of like wear and tear too on your hands. They're not the easiest thing to do.
I'm going to kind of point out something that I do that I never really thought about. So I'm going to let's complete my puff. So that's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. One thing, if you notice that I do, I kind of pull down on the bottom so it opens up the space here so that when I yarn over and pull my hook through, notice I have the hook portion pointed down because it's sort of like a teardrop, pointed down, and I pull through and it allows me to get through easier. And then chain 1. Okay. So I'm going to keep going. I feel like I am out of focus most of the time. All right. Is that better?
Yeah. It's because your hands and the color of the yarn are very different. So it wants to focus on your hands. Your hands look beautiful.
Thanks. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, puff stitches can have any number of, I call them legs, how many times you insert your hook in. So when it comes to puff stitches, popcorns, clusters, when it comes to all of those, you really have to read what the pattern calls for.
Yes.
In our blog post, we wrote down what this pattern calls for so you would know what those are. On the stitch diagram, everybody has their stitch diagram in front of them, you'll see on your puff, there's 4 lines on the puff. It looks like an oval with 2 lines in the center. That's actually the 4 legs that Marley is doing. So stitch diagrams usually are just that helpful to tell you. It's not just that I made like something that looks like a puff stitch. Those lines mean something. Those 4 lines that you see means that she inserts her hook 4 times.
Okay. And then chain 1. It's a lot of puff stitches. This is funny because I mean, like I didn't use the puff stitch on one of my patterns recently because I was like, I don't know if people want to make them.
Hmm. It's what gives it all that squish factor. So
Yeah.
if you're making it for a baby, this is what they're going to pet and squish the most.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's a lot of wear on your hands, but it comes for good use. I don't know how else to say it, but
Yeah. There's lots of texture here.
the recipient will very much enjoy it, enjoy the feel.
And at the end, I should have 16 of these, correct?
You'll have 16 puffs. Yep.
All right. So I
I
want to.
will say that sometimes when you're doing these, um, just the way that we crochet, our turning chain and our first double crochet can be really close to each other. And so sometimes it's really easy to skip that first one.
Mhm.
It happens all the time. Don't get yourself super frustrated. Just be like, oh well, and then pull out and add another one. But you do need 16.
Okay. I think I need that in that last stitch there, but I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16.
Yep. Marley did it beautifully. But and you only have 15 puffs, yeah, a lot of times it's that other double crochet was hiding almost.
Yeah.
The big thing is that you're going from a very, very skinny, tiny little stitch into a big
Mhm.
chunky stitch. So
Big chunky.
it
All right.
takes a couple rounds for it to like work out, but it looks like Marley's look like a hot mess.
It looks like a hot mess.
Everyone's will look like a hot mess.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong.
Don't forget to do that last chain one after you do your last puff stitch. And then we're going to join with the slip stitch into that marked stitch that I did, which is the top of the puff stitch that we started with. Now, because I'm not changing colors on this next round, I don't have to worry about changing colors on this slip stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop on my hook. Okay. Now, this is where something might be different. You might not have ever done this before, but we want the start of our next round to actually start on the next stitch over. So we're going to slip stitch over one, essentially just to move our starting point. So we are going to, right here is our chain one. Can you see the V right there? That's our chain one. I'm going to slip stitch and do my chain one. And I have essentially moved my starting point. Now I begin on this row. So I chain one and I'm going to do a puff into my chain one spaces. Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you don't have to go into the chain. That will drive you bonkers. You just go into the space.
So that's what I was just about to ask. Could I go into this space?
Absolutely.
All right, that's what I would do.
Not go into the chain. You will drive yourself crazy.
Okay. I literally wanted to ask you that because that's what I would do. Normally, I would be like, okay, I want them there. I don't want it here.
Nope,
so I'm just going
in between. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to slip stitch over to that one just to get over there.
That's where I slip stitch.
Yeah.
In between.
Right there. And then now I will chain one and now I'm going to do my puffs here. So much easier. And this is the great thing about having the stitch diagram as a visual. Like we can clearly see on the stitch, it wants us to have our puffs like in between the previous round's puffs, right? So it kind of gives you that little permission of, hey, put it in that nice little big space there. Little big space. Did that even make sense?
Yep.
So that way we can, make it pretty easy. Okay, so that was that. Yarn over, pull up one, yarn over, pull up two. So one more. Yarn over and pull through. There we go. And then this one is chain two.
These are chain twos. Yeah.
And then I'm going to jump over and I'm literally just going to look for that space between the two puffs and do it there. Man, that's so much easier. 1, 2.
Yeah. So everybody should know that 4. Where you put your puff makes a difference. Usually, you want to scoot forward. There you go.
Yep.
Usually it would matter if you go into one single spot or like a chain space when you're making puffs, because if the space was bigger, it wouldn't look like a puff. It would it would almost look like a decrease because it would spread out at the bottom. Like usually puffs, you want to make sure they're going into one place so that the bottom is all pinched together. But here we put so many in that second round that second round already wants to suck together.
Mm-hmm.
So that chain space is very tiny. So it's acting like a spot. It's acting like one stitch instead of like a big void.
Yep. Sometimes when I create puff stitches, when I do my yarn over and pull through, I will chain one, but I consider that the top of my puff stitch.
So I was telling Marley earlier, I have a different way I like doing my puff stitches. Especially if you guys have seen the Kembleford cowl, this is how I do it. Maybe Marley doesn't mind doing it on the next one.
Okay, let me finish this one.
Yep.
Oh, no. So it's at the end of this one. One,
Yeah, it's
two,
at the end. Yeah.
3, and 4. Okay.
Okay. So what I like to do, instead of pulling all the way through, I'm going to pull until there's 2 loops left on the hook.
Like that? Okay.
Yep. So basically you pull through all of the things that were making the puff stitch, but not your free loop. So you have 2 loops left on your hook and then you yarn over, pull through those 2. And that makes your puff stitch.
So that would finish it. And then you could chain one and see how that puts that over there.
Yeah. So that how I finish it off, it makes the top on the top instead of kind of to the side.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It's just the way, it's just one of those, it's neither is right or wrong. It's just what I like to do.
Yep. I totally get that. I like that.
You guys do it however you enjoy doing it. It does not make a difference at all in this stitch pattern. That's right, Julia. No crochet police. There is no police. Do it how you like to do it.
Yep.
I was even going to say, if you get frustrated with these and you would rather do popcorns, do popcorns here.
Right.
Do clusters here. You can do it however you like to do it.
They take time, y'all.
they take time. I don't know. I think they're super worth it when it comes to babies. They love holding on to them.
They really do. My kids loved it.
Mary Lou, this diagram is on our website.
Yep.
So if you look in the video description, you'll see a link to our website with it. It's all the way at the bottom of the post.
Yep. And you do have to be a part of Grow to view it. And if you don't know what Grow is, I did put a link to the blog post that explains what Grow is. I'm guessing a lot of you are very familiar with it now because a lot of designers are now using it as a way to try and help, protect our stuff a little bit from AI as much as we can. All right. 1, 2. And then do I have one more? That's the question, right? So I should have 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right. 16. And I finish with chain 2. Did I chain 2? So I did chain 1, chain 2. And then I'm going to join with the slip stitch at the top of my puff. Right there. And then I'm going to slip over to that blank space, the chain 2 space.
Yeah.
And then here is where I'm going to start the squaring out of everything.
Yeah. So right now, show everybody how wonky it looks.
I mean, it's real wonky. That's why I'm pulling all my tails and stuff right now. But it's
let
wobbly.
me reiterate, Marley did nothing wrong. That's exactly what mine looked like. And mine looks perfectly square right now. That's what it looks like. The reason is think about those puffs were really chunky.
Yeah. They're just taking up a lot of space.
They need to be stretched out and they will relax and chill out once you get more rounds.
Right.
So lay it down even so people can really see. I want to make sure no one thinks they've done something wrong they put too many in it or anything like that. It is okay that it is all over the place.
Like it's not flat.
Nope. And that is perfectly 100% no problem.
Now, I know there are no crochet police, but this is where Marley gets really annoyed with tail, so I have got to. This is the Marley police. I can't with this. This drives me insane.
She cannot move on until those ends.
I know, and I apologize. I know I'm eating up your time just tucking in ends, but I can't do it. Notice with the adjustable ring, you guys, I am not just going in a circle. I am going like back and forth to really make sure that my adjustable ring is closed. So that way, after the first like wearing or the first wash, my adjustable ring is not coming undone. And I'm going through like the fibers, I'm doing all the things, but I can't with that. Sorry. It's my own little quirks.
It's always good to weave in your ends as you go.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely never do it, but it's always a good thing to do.
I remember when you finished the Monet and you showed me the back, I was like, oh, what are you doing? What did you do? You were it was so bad. You got to one point, you were like, I'm done. I'm not doing anymore. Alrighty, so we are on round 4, and this is the round we're going to introduce a third color. Now, is this where you think I should introduce the green?
Up to you. Sure, why not?
I mean, so I'll use this so I'll start with the blue and then I'll introduce the green.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So I have slip stitched over, right? I joined to the puff and I slip stitched over. Now I'm going to chain 4. Now I'm going to just kind of throw something out there. If you're somebody who likes the stacked doubles or the stacked trebles, you could use those here. Just saying, if you wanted to, you don't have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to create this corner in this chain 2 space. So we're going to yarn over our hook twice, which, side note, when you're looking at a diagram, those little hash marks for the double and the treble, see how many hash marks there are? That's a clue to how many times you would yarn over your hook to start that stitch. Okay, so we're doing the treble. It has 2 hash marks, so we yarn over our hook twice. I like to keep control of those so they don't get super stretched out. And I'm going to come into my chain 2 space, yarn over, pull up a loop. Everything's still nice and tight. And then I just start working them off 2 at a time. So yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. By keeping each of those loops the same size as my hook, I'm maintaining a consistency that I can then transfer to all of the different squares I'm creating, right? I'm not just being willy-nilly about how I pull up stitches. So I yarn over twice, I keep them nice and snug, go in, yarn over, pull up, and I don't pull up like this, right? All of those loops there are the same size as my hook, and this is where I work them off. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, and now they're all the same size. Okay, that's how you can be really consistent. Now we chain 2, and then we're going to do 3 more, still in the same space.
Now, Marley's telling you this because honestly, after doing all those puffs, you are going to want to pull up a long loop.
Yes.
So when she's saying, don't do that, tell yourself, right, don't do that, because your body will be like, loops. Long.
Yep.
No.
Yep. All right, so that's the first corner. I just finished this, but I have to change colors. So I'm going to back out that last yarn over and pull through. So I'm going to put that loop and that loop back on my hook. Still all nice and snug. I'm going to drop my blue. I'll pick up my third color here. Why not? Maybe you're stash busting and you want to use all the colors. Yarn over, draw through these 2. Now, my loop up top there is going to be a little loose because this is a little loose, but I'm going to continue on with the green, but I'm going to let the blue essentially just rest in place here, and I'm going to crochet like into the spaces or into this, into the spaces, but I'm also going to crochet around the blue. Okay. So as I go to the next chain 2 space, I'll be placing 3 double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over my hook, go to the next chain 2 space, and I'll do 3 double crochets. And same thing applies here, guys. I keep my loops the same size as my hook. And that's the best way you can maintain consistency when you're doing squares, especially, so that all your squares will come out the same size. Really use your hook for what it's meant to be. It's meant to help you, create stitches that are the same size. Now we're at a half double. So I yarned over, pulled up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3. We're going to do that 3 times. I'm to the next chain 2, and I'm back to doubles. So I'll do 3 doubles.
So what you can think of in this stitch pattern as the corners are done by the same color you did before, and then quote unquote the sides of the square are made by the new color.
Yep.
So the whole, you're doing 3 double crochets and 3 half doubles and 3 doubles. That's because when you think about your circle, a circle being inscribed within a square, the center has less space. So you need shorter stitches there. You got taller as you get towards the corner and then shorter when you get towards the center.
So I'm in the 3rd double crochet. Notice I pulled out that last yarn over and draw through. So that way I can drop my green, pick up the blue, yarn over and work with the blue. Now, as I go to the next chain 2 space and create my corner, I'll be working around my green so that way I can change it over here. So I will be doing my 3 trebles. You can kind of hold the yarn to the back. It doesn't have to be in the front. Again, don't forget to keep these the same size. It's okay to have them go a little bit slow, just to make sure that they're all the same size. So much faster than the puff stitches. Chain 2. And then we got 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. I'm on the last draw too. So I'm going to drop my blue, pick up my green, and it's okay that it floats right up there.
Yeah, it's hidden behind, don't worry.
Yep, yarn over, draw through. And now we're going to do our doubles again. Hold the blue so that you can have it travel across. 1, 2, 3. 3 half doubles. 1, 2, 3. I love this green color. Reminds me of new grass. I love it. And then 3 doubles. But on the last one, we're going to change colors again.
And the whole management that Marley's doing with the yarn is the whole, that's the technique on this round, is if you want to think about them as techniques. The round 2 and 3 were all about puffs. This is all about color. So it's like there's a lot of different things going on in this motif, which make it like a really fun learning thing.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. But I know that when I got the sample from Hirschner's, I was impressed with how much texture it had. I was like, ooh, this is intriguing. And immediately I was like, I would love that in a blanket. Immediately. Like you and I talked about it. I was like, this would make a great blanket. It's a very fun stitch pattern. And the designer, I don't remember if I said the designer at the beginning, but this was designed by Mary Lane, the shawl was. And so that's the motif we're following along with. I'm getting down to the last 2. Drop the blue, pick up the green. All right, so just real quick, you can see I have my corners, the blue, and my center is already starting to even out. You see that?
Yep, you keep going.
All right.
Keep going. It'll transform.
All right, so this is just doubles again. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to also mention, just for those of you who might be coming over and it's the first time you've done something like this, but you're like, I'm ready. Notice I am doing yarn overs. I am not doing yarn unders. So if you're not familiar with what a yarn over is versus a yarn under, I do want to mention we are working with yarn overs, which I think is important when you're working with stitches like this. That's the way the instructions were written, because the stitch looks different. All right, so I'm coming up to the end here, and I can see on my chart that I'm going to join with a slip stitch, but then it looks like I'm going to fasten off, and then I'm going to rejoin over here with the new color. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. And so the difference here, guys, is remember down here, you can see the slip stitch to join. Oh, you can't.
You can't.
Slip stitch to join, and then we slip stitched over. Where up here, we have the slip stitch to join, but there is no slip stitch over, but we can very clearly see that's where we're going to start. So that is your visual cue when you're looking at a stitch diagram, that you're going to fasten off and then rejoin over there. Now,
want to look at the number. The number will tell you where the start is.
Yeah. Now, in theory, say you're just working with one color and you just want to slip stitch over to that spot, you could, but that's not the way this pattern is written.
Not the way the pattern is written. If I was writing the pattern, I wouldn't have you move over at all, and I would just have you start in the middle of that round.
Yeah. All right.
So if you are very savvy, you don't have to fasten off. Just start with a double crochet.
You know, it's funny. Whenever I hear somebody say savvy, it makes me think of Johnny Depp as Captain Jack, and I don't know why. How crazy! I mean, I know that's super random.
Very strange word.
A very random thing, but okay.
Lay it down for a second so everybody.
Okay, I gotta focus. All right, so it's starting to get straight. Hold on, let me cut this one too. Can you see? It's starting to get straight.
Yeah. And again, do not worry if yours is not, because mine still wasn't at this point. It was still real wonky. It takes another round or two before it will really straighten out into a square.
Okay. So this is where we're going to be rejoining. So I'm going to come over here to this corner, and I'm going to pick a color. I'm going to go back to the wild begonia color because that's so pretty.
No,
don't
this
do
is
that.
The only time where I said you were not allowed to change your color. You have to do the green.
I wasn't listening at that part. Okay, I'll do the green.
I wasn't listening to you.
I chose not to listen to you at that part. Like, really? You think I want to listen to you? Okay, what if I want to be a rebel?
No,
I'm a rebel, Dottie.
You will not see what you're supposed to see. It won't look right.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can do this again. Oh, gosh, darn it. Here we are. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to pull this out of the way. We're going to, I had to go back to the green, you said. Okay. Can I weave these in? I can't do this.
We're going to do it.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's funny because there are people who are like, oh, she says to weave them in, but she doesn't. Yeah, I really do, guys.
Yes, she absolutely does.
I can't take it. Mm-hmm. I'm that person. Okay, that feels better. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to join with the slip stitch. Let me get in focus. And here we are. So is this how you do it, Robyn? I usually will put a slip knot on my hook. And then I'll go into the corner, yarn over, pull up a loop and pull through, and there's my slip stitch. Okay. All right. So we're going to read this. It says to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3.
And when Marley's saying read, she means she's reading the diagram.
I'm reading the diagram. Yep.
She's looking at the diagram.
Yeah. I'm not reading the actual words. I'm looking at the diagram. Okay. So I am going to put a double, a chain 2, and then 2 more doubles into that corner. Correct? Okay.
Yep.
So a double and a chain 2, 1 and 2, and then 2 more doubles. 1 and 2. Okay. Now it appears that I will be doing a double crochet in each stitch all the way to the end.
Yep. Now you're on Netflix and chill. You are just snoozing. Yep. Zoom.
All right. So can you count how many of those are for me just so I can make sure I'm doing that many?
It's 15.
Okay. 1. Oops.
So this is round 5. I like to think of like round 5 is the easy one. It's just evening everything out. You're using one color and all you're doing is just making a square. Round 6 and 7 is what I like to think of like the third techniques in the square. So it's thinking of these as like 3 different sections on this project. This part, so if you don't have 4 corners, that's an oops. You should have 4 corners and 4 sides.
All right, so that's 15. So now I'm in the next corner. So I'm going to create my corner, guys. I'm going to do 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. 1, 2, chain 2, and then 2 doubles. 1 and 2. All right, now I do it again. 15. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Yes. Now, you saw them all. Keep going, Marley.
Okay.
You saw Marley weaving in all those ends. She absolutely never, ever, ever crochets over her end.
Nope.
So, and just so everyone understands, when she was crocheting over the yarn, it wasn't over an end. That was like the color placement in the last one. That's just color management. When you're doing any kind of crochet color work, you either float it behind or you crochet over it. But weaving in, Marley absolutely never, crocheting over the ends, she never does, because Marley always likes to split, like you think of the strands of the yarn, she likes to split through the center so that it's really hard for it to not come out.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And if I have to crochet over an end, I still leave a long enough tail that I'm weaving it in anyways. So it's the same thing. Yeah, it's my own soapbox thing. That's the only thing that I would say that I would, if there could be crochet police for anything, I would do it. That's the one I'm like, yep, that's where we're gonna call in the big guns. That's the one.
Yeah.
12, 13, 14, 15. And I'm joining with the slip stitch and then I'm rejoining. So I can just join and fasten off.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm joining and I fasten off. Notice I always leave myself a nice long tail. Don't be one of those people who just leaves you like 3 inches. You'll never be, just don't do it. You don't have enough to weave in stuff. You aren't going to run out of yarn. You're going to be fine.
All right. We're headed into the last section of techniques.
We're in the home stretch, y'all.
Now we're heading into the good old back posts, and we can talk about different ways of doing the same thing.
Okay. So we're going to join with the slip stitch. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is just a regular double into my chain 2. And I can tell it's a regular double because it doesn't have like that little hooked C at the bottom of my chart. So 1, 2, and then I'd have 2 more. So 1 and 2.
So all the way around for round 5, 6, 7, it's always 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in all of the corners. They're all the same.
All right, so now we're going to do back post double crochet, which if you're looking at the chart, it's the one that looks like the double crochet, right? It's the T with the line, but see at the bottom, it has that like little hook. It's because we're going to be going into the back post. All right, so right there. And post stitches, there's shallow post stitches, there are back post stitches, front post stitches, all the things. What we want to do when we're working through post stitches, we literally want to work through the post of the stitch. We don't just want to work like up here underneath where the V is. We're going to go all the way around this post. So we start off by yarning over our hook, and this is a back post. So it gives you your first clue that we're going to start with our hooks back here. And I'm right-handed, so I'm going to go from the right. So I'm coming to the right of that post. I'm going to go over top of the post to the left of the post and back to the back. Yarn over. Now I'm going to bring my hook back that same path. So I'm going to come out to the left side, right? Come over the top, out the right side, and up. What my yarn over that I just pulled up, it's right here. I don't want it any other place. I want it right there, okay? Now I'm ready to do a double crochet. So there's pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you can see here, it kind of pulls back that post. It pulls it to the back. You'll see that it kind of like has a strangling noose kind of around the post of it. It does, right? It does look like a strangled noose. But I like that. I like that those kind of they kind of give hint little blimps.
Yes, yes.
And I like that.
Yes.
And then we're going to do this.
I like to say it highlights it. I don't say I like to strangle it, but each their own.
In knitting, they talk about strangle stitches and stuff. So that's what it reminds me of. Listen here, lady. I'm the one with the hook. I get to use whatever terms I want. Okay, so one thing I like about post stitches versus what we just did about the regular double crochets is it will be so much easier to know how many stitches I have to do, because for each post, I'm going to have a stitch, right? Where sometimes when we're doing just the regular double crochets, you'd be like, well, where does the top of the double crochet, where do I start? Do I start over here? Do I start over here? Blah, blah, blah. Where this one, I literally just find the post, go in towards, from back to front on the right side, over top, from front to back to the left side, yarn over, bring my hook back that same path, and then create my double. And you'll get the little blip. All right, I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to get to the next corner.
There are 19 going across the side.
Okay. Yeah, see, they look like little nooses. I like that. I think it's really neat. It's pretty.
Yeah, so back posts give you a ton of texture.
Yes.
What happens is not only the front, the top 2 loops fall to the front, but there's also a third loop in there that pulls to the front. So it doesn't just look like a line. It almost looks like an I cord when it falls forward. It's more, it's thicker.
Mary really filled this motif up with lots of stuff.
Yeah, which is really fun to learn new stitches, learn new techniques, try something new. You get to play with lots of different things.
Yeah. All right. See, I don't have to wonder. I just go into the last post and everything's there. So now I'm going to go into my chain 2 space. So I'm going to do my double, my second double, my chain 2, and then 2 more doubles. So there's 1 and 2. And then back post. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm at the end. I'm going to slip stitch into the first. Am I changing colors again?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm fastening off?
Fastening off, yep.
Okay. So close, y'all. I won't weave in my ends on this one. I'll just keep going. I'll suck it up. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh, can you guys see that? Hold on. Look at the depth, like, of those being popped forward.
Yeah.
With the hug stitches.
With the strangled noose. Yeah.
Oh,
no, but like so how being able to see that little line is how you can tell you did your back post stitches correctly. If you can't see that, then you didn't do it right.
And it's flat, y'all. Do you see that? It's flat.
Yeah. It's magic how it finally settles down.
Oh, it's so pretty. I really like this. All right, I'm going to finish with blue.
Sounds good.
All right.
I got it.
And then double. Okay, so third loop, new technique. So this time we have these top two loops, and then we have the third one back here.
Yep.
So we're going to do doubles. Now, I'm going to just say this. If you don't want to do this, if you wanted to just do in here, you could. But,
well, okay, I wanted you to show them where the third loop is, but then I want you to show them how to do shallow, because it might be easier to do the shallow.
So you can see here, you have a bar here, right? You have a bar here, a bar there, and then you come back here and there's a bar there. That one. That's the one I usually go into with the double. It's so much easier with the half double.
It's so much easier with the half double. But so go into any of the bumps.
Yeah.
Underneath those top two.
It's hard to see. Right? So there's those.
Now you can see it.
And I'm going to do my double.
I didn't want to do it.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to go to the next one over.
So Marley is flipping her work towards us.
Now I have some people who will go into that one.
That's fine. Have at it.
And then, or you could go into that
one. It doesn't matter which one you're doing. Just make sure you're choosing the same one.
All right. So I'm going to go that one. That one seems easier. So I'm going to go into it.
Go into that one.
If it was a half double, it'd be a lot easier, but neither here nor there.
No, we use the third loop all the time when we're doing half doubles.
Yeah. Okay.
So so you can go into that, or you can go into the one that looks more like the back ridge of a chain. Either was fine. So this is what makes this motif an intermediate motif. All the rest of it wasn't that bad, but going into the third loop of a double crochet is very hard.
Yes.
So if you want that look, but you want it a different way, show them how to do the shallow back post.
Back post shallow. So we're yarn over. Same thing with like we did post before, right? We went around the post. Now, instead of that, I'm going to go in from back to front underneath the V of the stitch and then come out the next one. Not out, but in, over top, and then back. Yarn over, bring that back through, and now double. And then you go to the next. So we're going to go to the next. In, it's essentially in where you came out. Come around. You guys see this? Instead of going around the post, I'm going around or underneath. I'm underneath the V, going into front and then out the back the next V, and then doing a double.
All right, now pause here and let's take a look so you can see the difference. So you don't have the blip that you would, and both of them have those top two loops laying forward is what you want. It's just where it's easier for you to stick your hook at this point. The third loop sits back a little bit. The shallow sits forward a little bit more, but at this point at the end of your motif, choose one that you like.
Now, here's a question. They could also do another round of back post double crochet.
100%. Yeah.
Yep. If you wanted to do that, you could do that too, which is even easier. All right. Do you guys need me to go all the way around this, or are we good?
I don't think so. I feel like that was really what I wanted to get through with the last round. It was
Yeah.
just showing you the difference.
Can you guys see the top here? How it looks?
So again, the last round is written as in the third loop,
which is back there.
which is in the back. Or what Marley was doing was the shallow
back
post.
And or you can do the back post again.
In our blog post that we have, the stitch diagram, we have links to both, all three.
Yeah.
All of them are linked of how to do it.
Not gonna lie, totally love those colors. Would absolutely, like, I would keep the green, always keep the green where it is, and I would interchange the blue and the white or the wild begonia.
Yeah.
Love this. Love, love, love. Okay, so hold on. I'm going to pull in the sample. So as you're doing this, can you see here?
Yeah.
You come out a little bit. So this is also the wild begonia. So it's the wild begonia. And then where I had the blue, this is where it's the variegated. And then it was where I had the green, they had the purple. Then they went back to variegated. Then they went back to purple. Can you see that? So it looks different.
It looks a lot different when you're using the variegated.
And like if you pull it in here, because I would have the blue at the end, like it's a whole lot of color changes. And then like they did this one, and then they have a different color sequence, right? So their flower portion, the portion that's the blue on mine, is always the variegated.
Yep.
So as I was just saying, I would always keep these ones green, and they changed all of that. They kept the flower, the variegated, the whole time. But the join here, the way they put the two squares together, because they finished with the two doubles, right? She did a mattress stitch join, which is a really fun join. And I did link to this in the blog post. I actually linked to a video I did for 3 different types of joins: a slip stitch join, I think a single crochet join, and a mattress stitch. The mattress stitch crochet, you can see it's a nice, smooth transition from one block to the next on the front. And then on the back, you get like this very minimal ridge right here. It's a very, very subtle, minimal ridge. But it's a great, sturdy way to join them together. If you wanted to do a join as you go and you're familiar with how to do a join as you go as you're working double crochets, you could do that. I do want to point out on this shawl, they do have triangles at the top. So it's like you're doing a half of one of the squares. It's written out for you. It's a little bit different in the sense of it's not exactly a half, but you can do this. Like it's just back and forth. Just remember, when you're doing post stitches or the third loop or anything like that, you want to make sure that the top of those stitches are always going to the front, right? If for some reason it's going the opposite direction and it's going to the back, you've done something incorrect. Does that make sense? And then you can see on the final round of the shawl, she also did the third loop. And look, she did go through the one that was a little bit trickier. She went through the bar.
Yeah.
But she did the third loop. So that's, again, a way for her to tie in what she did down here with these. She has it on the border. So much texture. I mean, I wish you guys could feel this. Like there's just so much texture in this, and it feels really good. Like I've had it on my lap this whole time. It's incredibly warm. I would absolutely love this as a blanket. I think it'd be great also if you made it just a square instead of because it's a triangle, you could make it a square and it could be like a stadium blanket. You could sit and it just covers you nice, and like it feels so good. It's so nice.
Yeah. And there's lots to touch and feel.
You're definitely not going to get bored making this. Like it was a lot of fun. Oh, I love those colors.
I know. It stands out like a lot of like the different things you can do. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I really like that. I like that a lot. All right. At this time, the pattern is only available in the kit. The kit is $32.99 or something like that. Who's to say in the future? I don't know if it'll make it like where it's a standalone pattern. But at this time, it is only available in the kit.
I will say, it does take it will probably take you an hour to do one motif the first time, and then they go faster, but it does take a little while.
Those puff stitches took a while.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that those took the longest. Like this stuff it didn't feel like it was taking a long time, but these do. And like you said, they put a lot of wear on your hand as you're making them because it's a lot of strands, a lot of strands. And there you have it, friends. Now you can make the Wildflower Wander Motif and work up the Wildflower Wander Shawl. I'm Marlybird, your By Crafty bestie. Thank you so much for joining me and my bestie, Robyn Chachula, learning this fantastic motif. Don't forget, you can get the stitch diagram on my website. The link is in the video description box down there below. And if you want this pattern, it's available over at Kirshner's. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.